Have you noticed how easy life has become? How strangely heavy it feels anyway? You're warm, fed, plugged into a million shows and streams, and yet there's a dull ache under the comfort. You click next episode, and your soul whispers, next what? You ordered dinner, and your heart asks, for what? It's not that your life is bad, it's that your life is softened. You feel yourself softening with it. Viktor Frankl would call this a warning light. Not a flaw in you, but a signal from the deepest part of you. He taught that we don't live by the will to pleasure or the will to power, but by the will to meaning. When comfort takes over, meaning gets pushed to the edges. And here's the twist. Comfort without meaning doesn't feel like comfort for long. It feels like numbness. Think of it like this. Pleasures are like air fresheners in a room with no oxygen. They can mask the smell, but you still can't breathe. You need air. You need meaning. And your body knows it. That's why a perfectly enjoyable weekend can end with that sudden emptiness on Sunday night. Frankl called it the existential vacuum, a sense of inner void that rushes in when life is easy but aimless. Have you felt that vacuum? You sit on the couch, scrolling, and time becomes heavy water. Your brain keeps asking for novelty, but your heart is asking for direction. You're not broken. You're bored at the soul level. Frankl's life sharpened a simple truth. Meaning isn't a luxury. It's fuel. When the tank is empty, comfort can't fill it. Only purpose can. But let's make this practical. If comfort is numbing your life, how do you gently take your life back without shaming yourself? Without throwing away the good things you've worked for? Start with a cleaner definition. Comfort is not the enemy. Avoidance is. Comfort is a warm blanket after a hard day. Avoidance is living under the blanket so you never feel the day. Comfort restores. Avoidance erases. The question Frankl would ask isn't are you comfortable, but are you oriented toward meaning? Frankl mapped out 3 reliable paths to meaning: creating a work or a deed, experiencing truth, goodness, or beauty through love and presence, and adopting a courageous attitude toward unavoidable suffering. Those aren't poetic ideals. They are practical doors. And every day you can choose to walk through at least one. Let's try this in the rhythm of an ordinary day. Imagine 2 mornings. In the first, you wake up, reach for your phone, drown in headlines, and feel a creeping fog. You slide into autopilot. In the second, you wake up and ask one Frankl-style question. What meaningful thing can I contribute before noon? Not how do I feel? Not what's easy. What can I contribute? You send a kind message you've been delaying. You pick one task that matters to someone beyond you and move it forward. You step into a cold doorway of discomfort and let it wake you up. You do it not to be heroic, but to give your day a spine. Why does this work? Because meaning asks us to point our lives outward. That's Frankl's engine, self-transcendence. The more we stare at our own comfort, the smaller our world shrinks. The more we choose to serve, create, love, and carry something worth carrying, the more oxygen returns. But what about those times when the weight is real? When grief, illness, uncertainty, or deep anxiety pulls you under? Frankl does not tell you to smile through it. He tells you this: where suffering is unavoidable, meaning is still possible. Not because suffering is good, but because your response can be. At times, the only thing you can control is your attitude. That isn't a cliché. It's a practice. Picture this. You've promised yourself you'll write, or call your dad, or go for the walk your doctor asked you to take. But the couch wins, the show wins, the snack wins. You're not lazy, you're scared of feeling awkward, of failing, of being seen. So try a logotherapy move called Dereflection. Instead of staring at your feelings, stare at the task's meaning. Ask, who benefits if I do this? Who is helped? What value is served? Let the purpose pull you, not the mood push you. When we dereflect, our feelings stop being the main character. The mission takes the lead. Here's another tool from Frankl's approach: paradoxical intention. When anxiety tightens your grip, you can loosen it by playfully leaning in. You fear you'll stumble in conversation. Intend to stumble a little and laugh with it. You fear you'll never finish a page. Intend to write the worst paragraph you've ever written today. This gentle inversion breaks the tyranny of perfection and opens space for action. Anxiety hates permission. Give yourself permission to be imperfect and present. Now let's talk about the comfort trap itself. The trap isn't Netflix or dessert or the extra hour of sleep. The trap is the pattern. The pattern says, when I feel empty, I'll reach for the quickest thing that fills the next 5 minutes. But 5 minutes becomes 2 hours, and 2 hours becomes a lifestyle. The antidote isn't to ban every pleasure. It's to schedule meaning the way you schedule meals. You don't wait to eat until you're starving and delirious. You eat because your body runs on nutrients. Your soul does too. Try the meaning menu. Pick one item from each of Frankl's 3 paths for your week. Create one small contribution that outlives the day. A page written, a shelf fixed, a lesson filmed, a meal cooked for someone else. Experience 1 hour of presence with a person you love, or a place that lifts you. Phone off, eyes up. Absorb beauty on purpose. Attitude, one chosen hardship you meet with courage. Not a drama, you invent a real constraint you face. You decide how to carry it this week with dignity. When you do this, something shifts. The question, do I feel like it, loses power. The question, what's the meaningful move, gains power. You stop bargaining with yourself about comfort and start negotiating with your purpose. Remember, Frankl never glamorized suffering. He was clear, avoidable pain should be avoided, but the pain that remains, limits, losses, uncertainty, can be a canvas for meaning. If you can't remove the weight, you can decide how to lift it. Let's ground this with tiny experiments you can start today. The 2% braver choice. In any moment, identify the 2% harder path that points to what matters. Not a heroic leap, a 2% nudge. If it's between texting and calling your friend who's hurting, call. If it's between one more video and 10 minutes of practicing a skill you value, practice. 2% is small enough to do now, big enough to change your day. The stopwatch of presence. Set 10 minutes to be fully somewhere on purpose. Stand by the window and watch the light shift. Close your eyes and listen to a song without multitasking. Sit with your partner without fixing or analyzing. Just witness their face. This is the experiential path to meaning, and it trains your nervous system to savor what is already here. The dignity script. Name the hardship you're carrying this week in 1 sentence. Then write a second sentence that defines how you will carry it. I can't control my boss's decisions. I can control the quality of my work and the kindness I bring to my team. Read it daily. That's attitude as me. It's not pretending. It's choosing a posture. Notice how none of these demand a radical life change. Frankl's wisdom is not drastic. It's deliberate. Meaning grows when we place our attention, our action, and our attitude in service of something beyond relief. But I want to address a quiet fear. What if you try all this and you still feel flat? What if comfort is your only shelter right now? Then treat your comfort like a recovery room, not a home. When you use comfort to heal, it strengthens you. When you use comfort to hide, it shrinks you. Ask yourself, what am I recovering for? Put a name to it, a person, a project, a promise. Recovery becomes meaningful when it points back to what you're willing to carry. This raises another Frankl question. For whom are you responsible? Not in a burdensome way, but in a connective way. Meaning is relational. Even your solitary work likely serves someone future you, a client, a child, a stranger who will never know your name. When you remember the who, you become braver than your comfort. Here's a simple way to practice that daily. Before a task, whisper, for someone, then say their name. For someone, I will write. For someone, I will learn. For someone, I will show up. You're not chasing motivation, you're embodying meaning. Motivation comes and goes. Meaning gives you a spine when motivation leaves the room. Let's talk about nights. Nights are when comfort is most seductive. The day's noise quiets, and the inner vacuum gets loud. That's when we reach for the most immediate numbness. Tonight, try this alternative. Make a small vow before bed. Tomorrow, by 10 a.m., I will complete one meaningful act for someone else's good. Then lay out the first step now. A note on your desk. Shoes by the door. Phone number written down. Sleep knowing there is a cord pulling you toward the morning. Frankl said that the future held as a task keeps us alive. We don't need a 5-year plan at 11 p.m. We need one thread of purpose leading into dawn. Midway through this, if you're wondering how to start absurdly small. Meaning doesn't reject small beginnings. It welcomes them. Wash one dish as an act of stewardship. Send one text as an act of love. Do one stretch as an act of responsibility to the body that carries your life. Purpose grows like a muscle fibers, tearing gently, healing stronger, ready to carry more. If this is hitting home, pause for a second. What comfort do you reach for when life feels empty, and what small, meaningful action could replace just 5 minutes of it this week? Tell me in the comments. If you want more practical tools from Viktor Frankl for days like this, tap subscribe and share this with someone who needs a steady voice tonight. Okay, back to the work. Self-transcendence is not self-erasure. Your needs matter. Your joy matters. But joy deepens when it's connected to value, not just sensation. Think of a time you worked hard on something you believed in, and then shared it. The joy wasn't the same as a quick laugh from a meme. It had weight to it. As Frankl would put it, you didn't just feel good, you felt worthwhile. What about those of us stuck in jobs that feel meaningless? Frankl's counsel isn't naive. If you can shift roles toward real contribution, do it. But while you're there, widen your field. You can bring meaning into a narrow space by changing what you aim at inside it. Aim at excellence, kindness, skill building, mentoring the new person, noticing someone's effort and naming it. Every space has a door. Find it, walk through it daily. Meaning does not wait for perfect conditions. It grows in ordinary soil. And about the pressure to find your passion, Frankl would relax that for you. Passion is a feeling. Meaning is a direction. Choose the direction first. The feelings find you as you walk. There's a strange thing that happens when we practice this. Comfort stops being the goal and becomes the byproduct of a meaningful life. Sleep tastes better when you've carried something worth carrying. Food tastes richer when you've shared it. Rest is deeper when it follows a day that mattered. Let me give you a grounding mantra for the week ahead. Purpose before pleasure, then pleasure deepens. Not because pleasure is bad, but because purpose gives it context. Pleasure follows service, like a shadow follows light. If you still feel skeptical, run this 7-day experiment. It's simple and kind. Day 1, pick one person and do one thing that eases their day. Day 2, do one thing that stretches your skill by 5 minutes. Day 3, spend 10 minutes witnessing beauty without multitasking. Day 4, choose a discomfort you usually avoid and carry it on purpose. Day 5, name the someone you're working for and write their name where you'll see it. Day 6, make your bed as an act of order, not compulsion. Day 7, reflect for 15 minutes on what felt most alive and plan 1, repeat for next week. None of these are big. All of them bend your life slightly toward meaning. Slight bends, over time, redraw a map. I want to leave you with an image. Imagine you are carrying a candle in a dark hallway. Comfort is like a heated room off to the side. It's warm and inviting. You can step in for a while, but the hallway is where your path is, and the candle is yours to carry. If you stay too long in the heated room, the wick gets short, the flame gets small, and the hallway feels colder when you return. If you keep walking, pausing to rest, yes, but walking, the flame's warmth travels with you. The hallway changes because you moved through it. That's your life. Not to be survived, but to be walked with a light only you can carry. Frankl saw that even in the worst places on earth, people could choose a word, a gesture, a moment of decency, and thereby reclaim themselves. You don't need to wait for a crisis to discover that power. You can practice it in the gentle pressure of an ordinary Tuesday. Choose one act that matters. Offer it. Let that act answer the quiet ache that comfort can never soothe. Before you go back to your evening, ask yourself, what is the smallest meaningful action available in the next 10 minutes? Do that. Then tomorrow morning, ask again. Meaning isn't found once. It is chosen, now, and now again. You deserve a life that isn't just easy, but alive. Not because you have to prove anything, but because your life is a sentence the world needs you to finish. Write it with your hands. Write it with your presence. Write it with how you carry what cannot be changed. Comfort can be kind. Meaning makes you strong. And strength, gently offered, is how the world gets better. When the numbness tries to return, remember, you don't need more cushions. You need a direction. And you can choose it even here, even now, one small step at a time.